Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Shalom, family. Bless you all today. Giving all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High, Ahaya Ba'Shem Yeshai, Kodash Owak, the Father, Son, the Ruach. That's the Holy Spirit. Today, family, we want to make sure that, everybody is in full understanding of the days of the Most High, the times of the year, why we worship the Most High on these feast days and on his high holy days, his Sabbaths. We want to get the understanding of why we do these things, so we're just not caught up in just, I don't really know. If you're out there trying to give somebody some knowledge about the Most High and why you do what you do, now that you Israel. Some have been in the walk, in the truth for some time, and some are new. And even some that have been in the truth for a while still don't really have an understanding, right, on some of the things as why we do the things that we do according to the Bible, according to the Most High. Because this kingdom is not following the ways of the Most High God, right? They're following the pagan days, as you all know if you're here, or if you're just watching, So today, family, if it be the will of the Most High, we want to just make sure that we get your questions answered, and that, that is edifying for you to, really have this knowledge, so you could be firm in your faith, and also that you just know what you're talking about, So make sure that you got your pens, paper, pencils, highlighters, mark these notes down, because if you forget these things, you will have a way to come back into just keep increasing and keeping that knowledge up, right? So thank the Most High. We're going to open it up with, let's get the law. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Let's get Exodus chapter 20, family.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Verse 18, And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off.
So this is Moses giving the law to the children of Israel, right? This is the Most High giving the law. Now, it's a lot of things in this law that if you notice, verse 2, they didn't tell you were the people, they didn't tell you were the Israelites, right? Number 3, they have you ignorantly worshiping the gods of the nations, right? Going into like what they call the months of the year, you know, the days of the week, these being pagan deities and things like that, nor bow down to them, nor serve them. Have you in, you know, different denominations and religions, and got you worshiping idols, whether it just be Caesar Borgia, whether it be statues, whether it be cobblestone Islam, whether it be whatever idol, right? You see the Sabbath day, you know, no working on the Sabbath day, keeping the Sabbath day and keeping it holy, right? That now Constantine in the 325 AD moving the children of Israel, moving the whole world into Sunday worship instead of worshiping on the Sabbath. You know, Sunday worship, reverencing and worshiping the sun, right? Let's see what else. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery. That's everything they pushing in society. So everything that they push worldwide, they know that, you know, Israel and of course the nations that never had the law, you know, it's just defiling the earth, just breaking the law. Let's get that. Let's go to let's stop there. Let's get a preach. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 24, because the whole world has definitely lost the ways of the Most High, right? We're going to go Isaiah 24 and verse 5 and 6. Get those two scriptures when you guys get it.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 24 and verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left.
And that's what's to come. And you know, family, if you're here today, you know, this mean that you really, you know, trying to get your knowledge of. If you're watching online or you at home and you couldn't make it today, or you just somewhere in this earth, you know, just keep studying this knowledge, because when you just go into the churches a lot of time, you know, you just read over these scriptures but don't really know what it means. But the Most High say, you know, knowledge is going to be increased in the last days. So through the Spirit of the Most High, you just got the laws of the Most High. Now let's get more on these days. Let's go Leviticus chapter 23. Started, we're going to bring this out from the top.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
So these are holy convocations. These are separate convocations. These are holy. These aren't just, you know, just to come and just, you know, this isn't Thanksgiving. This is not Christmas. This is not, you know, 4th of July. And you know, this is on earth as it is in heaven. So you got to know that when you enter the kingdom, you're going to be partaking in these days of the Lord, right? How do we know that? Go to Isaiah chapter, let's go Isaiah 66. Keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. 6 and 6. Let's get 66 and verse 23.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
And that's what's going to happen when this kingdom comes. You know, everybody going to come keep these feasts of the Most High God. And one new moon to another, right? And we're going to go into the cycle of the moon and how this works to get on accordance with the Most High. Let's go back to Leviticus 23.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest. And holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
So these are holy convocations that you should know about in the seasons. You got to know when's the right time to do these things, huh?
Verse 5, in the 14th day of the first month, at even is the Lord's Passover.
Okay. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. So you would think, okay, 1st of January, 14th day, right? But we have to show that they think to change times. Get that. Go, hold you gotta get that. That they have changed the days to pagan days. Like if you, what you have right there in front of you, family, when you just go to, when you go to the Gregorian calendar on the right, we're going to go into what that is, but the months of the year, when you go down to January, where it says Janus, right? So these are, you know, pagan deities. These are demonic deities that they're reverencing, who they're giving their worships to, and have the world going in ignorance about it. Does anyone have a question about that? Does anyone not understand what we mean by that? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just don't know.
Okay, so like a pagan deity is like, for example, you're giving reverence to fallen angels and demons. You're not giving reverence to the Most High. You're not worshiping the Most High. So as you know, for example, you got Christ, right? They give you the image of Caesar Borgia and say this is Christ. But you're not really worshiping Christ. You're worshiping a man. Caesar Borgia was a real man that existed. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're not really worshiping the Most High in spirit and truth when you do that. You just worshiping an idol. For example, if everyone's up here, like you have some pastors and stuff, right? Not all, but some. If me and Brother Lamawai don't have a Bible and we just telling you what God say, right? That's what we say. We're not saying thus saith the Lord. So you more so listening to what we say, worshiping what we say, instead of listening to what we say through this spirit, through this word, reading the Bible, what the Most High gave the Israelites, right? Clear up your question?
Yes.
Khan. All praises. Let's go to Khan.
Just precept, and you guys can write this note down. It's the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
And when it's talking about, he is speaking of the fourth beast, which is the last kingdom to rule the earth before Christ returns. So that's the last kingdom. When you read that Daniel chapter 7 and it goes through the empires that will rule the world, Daniel is talking about he's talking about the Babylonian captivity that came and went, the Persian captivity came and went. You had the Greeks that ruled the earth came and went, and now you have the Romans still ruling the world since the time of Christ. Anybody have questions on that? Nope. Okay. So they think to change times and laws, and we're going to get that. Let's finish that in the 23, in the Leviticus.
Going back to Leviticus chapter 23, picking up at verse 5 again. In the 14th day of the first month, at even, is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
And that's what we just got done doing, family. This is the last day, right? Right? We had Passover last week. That's what we're going into. So a lot of people don't even know what Passover is. So that's how much they have turned this world upside down, like we just read in Isaiah chapter, was that 21 or 24? I think it was 24. But what we just brought out, right? Let's finish reading.
Beginning at verse 7. In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, ye shall reap the harvest thereof. Then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord, to be accepted for you. On the morrow, after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
So we're gonna stop it there. We want to deal with the milk instead of the meat, right? We have a lot of people that's new to the truth today. So what we have right there, family, write those down in order, because what we have there, we're gonna go into the months of the year, and we also gonna go into the feast days of the year, so you know when these things occur. So from the top, the new year begins in March, which is the spring, right? We're gonna go into that, how we got that through the scriptures. Then you go into the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's where you at right now. So 50 days after the Passover, you're going to have first fruits. So if you count 50, right? 49 days plus 1, that's what you call a Jubilee. Make sure you jot that down. So you know a Jubilee is 50, right? So you're going to have 49 days plus 1. That's 7 Sabbaths. So you got 7 weeks till you get to first fruit. It's going to be the same thing every year, okay? Then you're going to have memorial blowing of the trumpets after that. Then atonement. Then you're going to go into the Feast of Tabernacles. Then you got the Feast of Dedication. Now, in the Feast of Dedication, that's not in Leviticus 23 because it was during the time when Israel was in Persian captivity, and we were to rebuild the temple during the time of Ezra, right? And the Maccabees, right? And then you got Purim. That's on the 12th month. So we're going to get that the 12th month, not December according to the Gregorian calendar, but it's February. So that the new year according to the Bible starts spring. So if you got your calendar in front of you, you see on the right side at the top, you got your spring, then summer, then autumn, which is fall, then winter. So everybody keeping up with us, right? We're going to bring it all home through the Spirit of the Most High. Everybody still kind of with us, right? Con? All right. Let's get what the Gregorian calendar is. Let's get that.
The Gregorian calendar is the calendar used in most parts of the world. It was introduced on February 24th with a papal bull and went into effect in October.
Let's come in real quick. A papal bull, when you go into that, that's what the Pope will write out basically as a order for what's going to be done. For example, 1441 and 1400s, you had Pope Nicholas V, wrote a papal bull to go out to the Queen and King of Spain to go colonize and bring these people into slavery. Go to the Israelites, go to the Americas. This is the papal bull. Here, you got permission to go do this. Christopher Columbus, here's your papal bull. So these things were going out so you can go and colonize these people. So Rome is really ruling the show, but hiding behind this Russia, America. They've colonized the whole earth, like the scriptures say they would in the last days. So that's how they were able to do this. They think to change times and laws, like Daniel 7 say. Go to 2nd Esdras chapter 6, 8, 9. Because if the people that's ruling the world are against you and they serving the devil, they serving a different God, they're trying to turn everything upside down, Con? So we're going to give y'all time to get there.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 6 and verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world.
So you got to be looking for the sons of Esau to be ruling at the end of the world, right? The so-called Europeans. You got to know Bible lineage to know who is who in the earth today according to prophecy and according to what's to come and what happened in the past. Because a lot of people read the word and they think that it's just is it a book that I might believe, or is it a storybook? They don't know it's actually history attached to it, right? That these things come to pass. The empires we were just bringing out actually ruled the world. This is outside of the Bible. This is historical facts, right? Read the next verse.
For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
So Christ is from the seed of Jacob. That's who's coming to bring Christ's rulership. That's who's bringing Jacob's rulership. That's the lineage that Christ comes from. He's a son of Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's who's coming to rule the world. All right, let's go back to what we had in the Gregorian calendar. Y'all still with us, right?
It was introduced on February 24th with a papal bull and went into effect in October 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII as a modification of and replacement for the Julian calendar.
Okay, the Julian calendar is what Julius Caesar brought forth. Now, Julius Caesar that calendar was about 45 BC, so you're saying before Christ. So during the time Christ in Israel was still in the land of Judea, but under Roman captivity, just like here. You guys are Israelites by blood, but you speak English. You just finding out who you are, and you speak in English, right? So you still under Roman captivity, but through the English branch, right? Because we know that America was colonized by who? France, Spain, and Great Britain, but through whose papal bulls? Rome. So you know the order of how it all comes from Rome. Let's finish that out.
The principal change was to space leap years differently, so as to make the average calendar year 365.2425 days long, more closely approximating the 365.2422 day tropical or solar year that is determined by the Earth's revolution around the sun.
Mm-hmm. So when you go into King James was born before the Gregorian calendar, right? So he was born like 1566. We said Gregorian calendar, what was that? 1580?
1582.
Okay, so he was born into the Julian calendar, right? So he was under that calendar, but going into that, so when you go into like the original 1611 King James, you see that his days was matched up with those days as far as what he was up under, just like you born here today. What you talking about, 365 days? No, that's what it is. But we just giving you, family, according to thus saith the Lord, that why they changed these things, so you could get back on the course. So while you out here in this world, you know why you worshiping, why you on the days you on, and what you about, right? For the Most High. Let's go to what we got on here. Scripture we got. All right, family. So we're gonna get these months out the word. We're gonna get these months of the year. Let's get Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. We're gonna try to hit them quick. And right now, you guys have them written down right here. So just keep this in your notes. As long as you're going to always be in this truth. We're going to make sure you're here. We're going to be blowing your phone up. You're going to stay in it. So make sure you keep this to go back to. You know what I mean?
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto the congregation of Israel, saying, And the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers.
Now, when you read that, that was in preparation for the Passover, right? They get ready to kill the Passover. Jump it over to verse 18.
Jumping over to verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even.
Okay, so you got the New Year, then you got the Passover. In the end, we're going to show you what time, why it's around March, right? What the world call March. Okay. Go to, what's that? Month of the bid. Deuteronomy. Go to Deuteronomy 16. Yeah, let's go Deuteronomy 16 and 1.
Give y'all a second to get there. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, and verse 1. Observe the month of Abib.
Okay, that's the first month. Make sure you keep that. You got it right there. It's the first month.
And keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God.
So in the first month of the year, you got Passover. Not January, March. We're going to bring it to you. Now let's go to the next month. Let's get 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 1.
Quick question.
Come.
So right here at the bottom, where it says on this side, so April will be the month of Abib.
No. Don't worry. Don't look at it like that.
Oh.
Don't. That's just what the Gregorian calendar. Don't look at it like that. Just look at where it says the biblical calendar on the left. Just start there. We're gonna get into that.
All right.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 6, and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year, after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, and the month Ziph, which is the beginning, which is the second month.
So you got the month of Ziph. Write that down for the second month. Now, to answer your question a little more, now what you have right here on the right side, remember, not all people that know they're Israelites follow the same calendar. So you have some, we're going to go on to Enoch, they represent a Babylonian calendar. So you got the whole world is on the Gregorian calendar, but you have the Jewish people in Israel, they don't celebrate the Passover the same day as us. So what you find is a lot of Israelites, they'll end up having Passover, I think it's next week. Their stuff is always a week or two after what we do. You know what I mean? Because they don't go into Enoch and Jasher and in Jubilees, even though the Bible referenced those books, because some of them got a Gentiles can't make it type of doctrine and other things. So if you go into those books, then it's gonna even more knock down a lot of what a lot of brothers is teaching. On top of other reasons, but that's one you could start with. Let's get the third month. Let's go to Esther, the book of Esther. Chapter 8, verse 9.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 8, and verse 9. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is, the month Sivan.
You got your third month. We're going into the 4th, but it's just going to say the 4th. Go to Jeremiah 39 and 2.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 39 and verse 2. And in the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, the ninth day of the month, the city was broken up.
The 4th month. Now let's go to Numbers chapter 33, verse 38.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 33 and verse 38. And Aaron the priest went up into Mount Hor at the commandment of the Lord, and died there in the 40th day of Salakia, in the 40th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 1st day of the 5th month. And Aaron was 123 years old when he died in Mount Hor.
Let's get the 6th month. So, go to Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 15.
This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 6 and verse 15. So the wall was finished in the 20 and 25th day of the month, Elul, in 52 days. And it came to pass that when all our enemies heard thereof, and all the heathen that were about us saw these things, they were much cast down in their own eyes.
Let's get the next month. So you should be coming up on 7. We just gave you 6, right, families? So you got your half of the year right there. Now we're going into the 7th month. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 2.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8 and verse 2. And all the men of Israel assembled themselves unto the king Solomon at the feast in the month Ethlanim, which is the 7th month.
Got your 7th month. Let's get 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 2.
6 and 38.
Con. Cross-eyed.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 6 and verse 38. And in the 11th year, in the month Bull, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof. And according to all the fashion of it, so was he 7 years in building.
The next one.
Going to month 9 in Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 1. This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 1 and verse 1. The words of the Lord, the words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. And it came to pass in the month Cheslu, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan, the palace. Got another cross-reference, the book of Ezra, chapter 10 and verse 9. Back a couple pages. This is the book of Ezra, chapter 10 and verse 9. Then all the men of Judah and Benjamin gathered themselves together unto Jerusalem within 3 days. It was the 9th month, on the 20th day of the month, and all the people sat in the street of the house of God. I'm going to go to the 10th month in the book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 16. This is the book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 16. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth. We'll go into the 11th month, which is in the book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 7. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 7. Upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sabbath. We'll go into the 12th month, which is found in the book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 7. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan. We also got other verses, verse 13.
But Nisan, you have to understand too, when we were in Persian captivity, they was having Israel under their times as well, just like the Romans got you under the Gregorian calendar. So when you go into the other scriptures, you're going to see that it means Adar. Same time as Adar. You thought you was ready to cut us up. Yeah, let's finish reading it out.
Come. Picking up at verse 7 again. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman, from day to day and from month to month, to the 20th month, that is the month Adar. It's like I said, the 20th, that's 12. Jumping over to verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women. And one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, to spoil of them for a prey.
Get that 9 and 19.
Let's jump over to chapter 9 and verse 19. This is the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 19. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. Jumping down to verse 21. To establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly. We can jump down to verse 27. The Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews.
All right, so you see you got Purim on the 12th, on the last month, right? Purim. So that's when you know. And remember, we're looking at this from the Most High's calendar. So don't look at this like January on down to December. You looking at this for, you know, that this heritage that we in, right? We know that once Purim comes, that's in the winter, which is the last month, which is in February. So Purim is the 14th and 15th of February, right? According to that. But that's when you know. So now you right back at the top. So right now, you're on the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Does everybody not understand? everybody understand. Go ahead.
So March is the beginning of the year.
When the spring, because starting off bright, and then you know, whole news coming up with fresh. But in this world, they doing everything backwards according to the Most High. Go ahead.
Okay, so like you said, March being the beginning of the year, right? We got certain things called prefixes, right? If you look at the OCT in October, it literally means 8. So if you start your year from March, moving forward, October will technically be the 8th month and not the 10th, according to how they taught us.
A lot of deception, and we trying to make sure we keep this on a milk level. That's what we're trying to simplify. Go ahead.
Is there a certain day or is it just the month?
Of what?
You know what I'm trying to say? Like around
Like
certain
March
days?
1st.
Like March 1st, March 5th, 25th.
Oh yeah, well,
When it actually.
yeah, we gonna get into that, but we kind of getting ahead of it. But when you get to the, we're gonna go into that. Each year has 52 weeks, so you have 52 Sabbaths. So when that March come, you gonna go into 1, 2, 3, on down to 52 weeks, and you gonna come right into the next year. When you dealing with the calendar of the Most High, but when you dealing with the world calendar, 1 year you gonna have February 28th, then 29th, then that's what you all off. It sounds like a lot if you hear and you knew, but through time, you want to be able to answer, well, when they say, well, why you not doing Easter? Why you doing the Passover then? So you going to know, like, yeah, because this, being in this knowledge is a whole different, it's a different, it's a lot. Let's get to this Sabbath. Let's go Genesis chapter 1, verse 5.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So, the evening and the morning. So as soon as sun go down, that's really when the new day starts, according to the Most High God. So today, Sunday would start on as soon as the sun go down, right? Everybody understand that? Because we so used to, we wake up, then it's bright outside, oh, it's a new day. But you was already in it when the sun went down, basically the day before that. So a day starts sundown to sundown. Read that part again.
Verse 5, chapter 1 in Genesis. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
More precepts on that. Go to the book of Nehemiah. Let's go chapter 13 in the book of Nehemiah. It's right after Ezra, right? Chronicles, Ezra, and then Nehemiah. 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, then Nehemiah. Everybody there, say Khan, when you there? 13. Oh, the one before?
No, Nehemiah.
Chapter 13.
Here.
Get verse 17.
It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13 and verse 17. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus? And did not our God bring all this evil upon us, and upon all this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to dark before the Sabbath.
Okay, so the gates of Jerusalem began to dark before the Sabbath, right? Because you're going to have some people like, oh, I don't understand that. You got to have a precept to bring it forth. Start that from 19 from the top again.
Come, verse 19. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to dark before the Sabbath, I commanded them, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day.
Keep it going.
Verse 20. So the merchants and sellers of all kind were lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you.
He was gonna put hands on him for that Sabbath day. That's that one you like. he was gonna put some hands on him. He was gonna put the paws on him. Let's get First Maccabees. Second Maccabees. Second Maccabees in a Apocrypha. Second Maccabees. We're gonna go to chapter 6. Matter of fact, let's go 6 and verse 2. I'll bring this out real quick.
This is the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 2. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius, and that in Garism of Jupiter.
Now, you know, when the kids in school, they thinking it's Jupiter, Mars, and Venus and all that. All of these is reverencing gods, right? But people think, oh, there's really planets. You giving your reverence to fallen angels. Get that one in Colossians chapter 2. But still hold where you at. So we're gonna go back to that. Get that one in Colossians 2. I think it's 16, 18, 19.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 18. Let no man beguile you of your reward in voluntary humility and worshiping of angels.
So they got the people worshiping fallen angels, you know, not even knowing, right? You just in school talking about, yeah, there's planets out there. You don't know that Satan and his fallen angels look to be worshipped, right? So they just tell you that, not knowing. They got the whole world in ignorance, basically. Whole world in darkness behind this stuff. Go back to Second Maccabees chapter 6. Let's start at verse 8. Chapter 6, verse 8.
It's the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
So they always want to bring you into what they're doing. That's how it's always been. And during this time, family, the Maccabees, you see that they were doing this.
Verse 9. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
So they're putting people to death. And we know this is when the Greeks and / Romans, the Edomites came on the scene over Jerusalem. So the time of Maccabees is before Christ was born. Finish reading.
Then might a man have seen the present misery. For there were 2 women brought, who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babes hanging at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. And others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly.
So our people was going through it, and they was really holding on to this law when they were coming on the scene to destroy them. Same thing, we always started off as slavery, but this been going on with the forefathers of the rulers of this world. They've been doing a lot of this wickedness. Now it's just through deception. You think it's equality. Take the poison, the vaccines, all that stuff. Finish reading.
Being discovered to Philip, were all burnt together, because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Lest that, being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us. Verse 16, and therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us. And though he punish with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people.
So his people would never be forsaken, even though they were going through all this for breaking his law, statutes, and commandments. So he not forsaken. He hasn't forgotten about his people, no matter through what's going on in this world, through the destruction on these people worldwide. Starvation, everything. Our people dealing with worldwide. Let's get back to it. Let's go to let's get the book of Enoch. Let's get the book of Enoch. First, let's get the record of why Enoch. Let's go to Hebrews. Show why we going here. Chapter 11. Enoch record. Verse 5. Verse 5.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse 5. By faith, Enoch was translated, that he should not see death, and was not found, because God hath translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony, that he pleased God.
All right, so we going into the book of Enoch, the seventh from Adam. Enoch, other than who? Elijah? There's only one other than him that was translated that didn't see death. So we're going to go, family, to the book of Enoch. And if you don't have the book of Enoch on you, just write it down. Or you could look it up on your phone online. Let's go Enoch chapter 72. Let's start at verse 21. 72 verse 21.
It's the book of Enoch, chapter 72, and verse 21. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts, and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from the 5th portal, and sets in the 5th portal of the west.
So it's talking about how the luminaries, how it's going to talk about how the sun and moon, it go through portals. In school they teach you the world is just spinning and the sun is, it's coming through portals. That's what it's going into. Now, we don't really want you don't have to really deal with the meat of this if you understand it, but we're going into this so you can understand the days of the Most High, so you could get the calculation of it. Oh, yeah.
And rises in the 4th portal of Salakia, and rises in the 4th portal for 1:30 mornings on account of its sign, and sets in the west. On that day, the day is equalized with the night, and becomes of equal length. And the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal, and sets in the west, the 3rd portal. And on that day, the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day, until the 30th morning, and the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. Verse 26, and the sun rises from that 3rd portal, and sets in the 3rd portal in the west, and returns to the east. And for 30 mornings rises in the 2nd portal in the east, and in like manner sets in the 2nd portal in the west of heaven. And on that day, the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from the second portal, and sets in the west in the second portal, and returns to the east into the first portal for 1:30 mornings, and sets in the first portal in the west of heaven. And on that day the night becomes longer and amounts to the double of the day. And the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit, and turns again on those divisions of his orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite to it. And on that night, and on that night has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the second portal in the east, and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night decreases the length. The night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 1:30 mornings, and sets in the west of heaven. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its day, 364.
Okay, so there's 364 days in a year according to the Most High God, right? 364 days.
Hey, so basically, by reading that, you just destroyed that whole thing we learned in school about, the axis.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, all that stuff. So basically, just the Most High just telling you the ordinances of how of moving. It's a lot of milk in there, a lot of meat in there, but we want to basically just bring out the 364 day cycle. Then we're gonna bring out more, if it be a will of the Most High, to just bring you more into that. So 364 days. Let's get Second Esdras in Apocrypha chapter 14. See, they want to be on time. To get ready for what so-called NASA, CERN, all those companies that's antichrist, antimatter weaponry, all that stuff that they making that the world thinks is good. They want to know the timetable that they own, because they know that their time is short, right? They know that they got things to do in this earth to get rid of these people. And you see they doing it now with the vax, with all this AI, all the stuff that we seeing popping up left and right. For the most part, is everybody still with us though, family? Ain't getting too lost, right? If you are, you can always come up to us afterwards, and we could talk about it. Because we want to make sure that you're getting it. Second Esdras chapter 14 verse 1.
This is the book of Second Esdras, chapter 14 and verse 1. And it came to pass upon the third day, I sat under an oak, and behold, there came a voice out of a bush over against me, and said, Esdras, Esdras. And I said, Here am I, Lord. And I stood up upon my feet. Then said he unto me in the bush, I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses, and talked with him when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt, and brought him up to the mount of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season.
So we know that Esdras is around during the time of what? A little bit of that Persian captivity, leaving Babylon to go the time of going to rebuild the temple and all that. So he's speaking of during the time of Moses, when Moses was given this law. We were reading earlier, Exodus 20, when Moses was given this understanding and the law, statute, commandment to give to Israel. But the Most High definitely had a remnant even before Moses that had the law. Enoch, Noah, Methuselah, all Abraham, Isaac, so the Most High had people that was worshiping him even before he gave the law to Moses, just like today. This law has been here even before we knew we was Israel, and it's time to come back to keep this law. It's been here. We just finding it now. The word been here, but they was teaching us the law done away with. Why you was walking around in this world sleep? Why is all these things happening to me? Why this? Why that? You didn't know to keep the Most High's law. So Israel, when we were in Egypt, you was up under that whole Egyptian lifestyle, just like here. You up under this whole America/Babylon lifestyle. Got to renew your mind. Got to change everything you've been taught here. So it's the same thing that our people's going through over and over. Just like now, you waking up keeping the law. Let's finish reading.
Verse 4. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt, and brought him up to the mount of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times, and the end, and commanded him, saying, These words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide. And now I say unto thee, that thou lay up in thy heart the signs that I have showed, and the dreams that thou hast seen, and the interpretations which thou hast heard. For thou shalt be taken away from all, and from henceforth thou shalt remain with my son, and with such as like thee, until the times be ended.
So we know that there's a clock on this world. You could tell by how they moving. They already got the control. They could just sit down and just have you just pay your bills and taxes. Everyone should know. It feel like they kind of keeping something from us, right? We know that that's in this, but just like the forefathers knew about the time to come, they knew their heritage. They knew who they were, and we finding out. So there's a time until the times be ended. Finish reading.
Verse 10. For the world hath lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. And there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th part.
Okay, for the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10th parts of it are gone already. Now, mind you, Ezra is about 500 years before Christ. So it's saying that's about what? About 2,000 years since Christ, right? Or if you're saying right now, this is about, if you say today, we about 2,000 years after this, right? About 2,500. So the time is close. If it was already, that much of it was gone by then. If a 10th part, read that part again.
Verse 11. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already.
So you saying that it's basically how much left? About 2 left.
And half of a 10th part. And there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th part. Verse 13. Now therefore, set thine house in order, and reprove thy people.
Just like right now, it's time to set your house in order, because when people find out what's going to hit this earth, when this destruction comes, they going to lose their mind. They going to run for right when they say, come here, we got it for you. We just going to help. Yeah, come here, we got this, we got that. But you being the truth, no, we got plans to make. We got plans to make, and it sounds scary, it sounds this, but you got to understand, it's deliverance. Just like leaving Egypt, the people want to go back. Just like today, people like, we got to get this money. Our people finding out about financial literacy. Sign up for this seminar on Instagram. Get you paid, get you this, get you that. But by the time our people figure it out, it's always too late. They think we're going to catch up to this. It's over with. You get what you can while you here, because you're going to have to, just like Israel had to borrow from the Egyptians when it was time to go. Yeah, right now you're going to get your stuff, but getting prepared, because the Most High is really showing mercy right now. Just like when you see them storms were here and no one had generators. People was out their lights for 2-3 weeks, and they didn't have no one to call, no one to help. But, you got this family in here that you gonna all pull together, right? Let's finish reading.
Pick up at verse 13. Now therefore, set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee.
Now we're gonna go into the book of Jubilees and get more into this 364-day cycle and the weeks, so you can know more for your edification of why the Most High leave these records here. Let's go to Jubilees chapter 6. We're in the book of Jubilees, extra biblical text outside of that. Let's go to chapter 6, verse. Let's start at 20.
This is the book of Jubilees, chapter 6, and verse 20. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival and all their generations for a commandment unto them. One day in the year, and this month they shall celebrate the festival. For it is the feast of weeks and the feast of first fruits. This feast is twofold and of a double nature, according to what is written and engraven concerning it celebrated. For I have written in the book of the first law, and that which I have written for thee, that thou shouldest celebrate in its season, one day in the year. And I explained to thee its sacrifices, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month, one day in every year. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month.
Okay, so there's a new moon, right? When you look at this, at your Enoch calendar with the circle. So at the top, you got a new moon coming in for the new year, right? That's 1, 2, 3. Then 4, you got a new moon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you got a new moon. Just like the scriptures say. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 new moons. That's where you get your 31. Because if you're going to do 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. Everybody got that? That's how you get that. Because without those 4 days, you're going to have 260. So this is where you get those 4 days. Let's read that part again.
Verse 23. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the 7th month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the season in the 4 divisions of the year.
So these 4 divisions of a year, that's how you know you're going into a new season of the year.
And the 4 divisions is for the moon, right? For the moon.
Con. That's what they call new month, but we use the new month. The Most High is referencing his months by those 4, where in this world it's every 30 days, right? That's just a part of the cycle of the Most High. Let's finish reading.
These are written and ordained as a testimony forever. And Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial unto him. And on the new moon of the first month, he was bidden to make for himself an ark. And on that day, the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth. And on the new moon of the fourth month, the mouths of the depths of the abysses beneath were closed. And on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the water began to descend into them.
Because remember, everything is enclosed in this earth, right? Uh-huh.
Can you explain again where that extra day, the 31st day goes again?
Where it goes.
Well, because if you say 30 days for the spring, those 3,
Mm-hmm.
where's the 1 day at? How do you get to 4?
It's well, because it's not considered. It's a change in the season, so that's where you just get that day. That's how you get it accounted for the 364. We're gonna go into it, but that's how you get it to accounted for. So 30, 30, 31. So on that, when you get that 31 day, that's when you get that changing of a season.
Okay, I see it now.
Alright, so on this paper, so late spring is when the 31 is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
So
late-
you got your,
late summer.
you got
Where that
30, 30, 31.
Pick it up at verse 27. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on this account, he ordained them for himself a feast, it's like an as feast, for a memorial forever. And thus are they ordained. And they placed them on the heavenly tables. Each had 13 weeks, from one to another, past their memorial. From the first to the second, and from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth. And all the days of the commandment will be 250 weeks of days, and these will make the entire year complete. Thus it is engraven and ordained on the heavenly tables, and there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year, or from year to year. And command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days. And these will constitute a complete year. And they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feast. For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony. And they will not leave out any day, nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances. And all the children of Israel will forget, and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moons, and seasons, and Sabbaths.
And that's what happened, right? That's what happened to us. We forgot it all. Oh, losing everything about you, your heritage, not really knowing nothing, not even thinking, not losing nothing, but the Most High had the word here, and you knew about Jesus. You didn't know about the law, but he left enough, because really, who have more faith than the Israelites, really? Who's still going to church with with nothing? Finish reading.
Picking up at verse 34 again. And all the children of Israel will forget, and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moons, and seasons, and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. For I know, and from henceforth shall I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising, for the book lieth written before me, and on the heavenly tables the divisions of days is ordained, lest they forget the feasts of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles.
And that's what we're doing. The word is true. Finish reading.
After their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon. Now it disturbeth the seasons, and cometh in from year to year 10 days too soon.
And that's why all this shifting of the days, and why you have a lot of Israel, coming up with the different days. A lot of Israelites, like we're saying, going to be doing Passover probably next week, because they're following the moon instead of the sun. So like we're saying, sundown, that's a day. Sundown to sundown. But this world is following, of course, the moon. Finish reading.
Verse 37. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a day of feast. And they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals. And they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh.
Because we know that we don't eat flesh with blood still in it. So with that, family, we're gonna you got that calendar. So we got this that that we prepping just to keep you on accord the Most High's days, but just like the 364-day cycle, making sure that all you have to do is count those 52 weeks. 52 after the beginning of the year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 52, and you coming into a new year. That's how we know. It's always about the going off of, because you still conflicting with day schedule in this world, but it's always like the first, second, or third week of March when the new year starts. But you just count your 52 after the new year. All right, family. So with that, bless you all. Shalom. All right.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would God it were morning, for the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall afflict thee. And I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will